Streep off camera instead.
Was muted. That's what's going on. What's going on, people? So I'm gonna get this set up. Welcome in, welcome in. We're gonna talk about the movies here in a second. I'll be right back while I go get myself a little drink and get set up. Welcome in. Hey guys, let's go ahead and get this started. I don't see anyone in the backyard stream just yet. I left up something for you guys in case you wanted to jump in there. Also got to mute myself over here. Kerwin, Vitaphone, welcome in. Boodle Bad Boy, welcome in. So we're going to be talking about the decades, and we'll probably go over something to do with the 90s as well. And here's a story jumper. Type in story jumper in the search bar up there at the top. So we're going to go ahead and get that loaded up and going. And I'll double check on the StreamYard to see if anyone is backstage. If anyone gets in the backstage, just let me know. I have the link in there, the invitation, so you guys can jump in with me. What's going on, Bright? Big Ray's in here, Kerwin's in here. So how do you like the studio setup looking? It's good, Barry. Barry, how you doing? So this is the way that I've got the camera arranged for the moment, and I'm working on making a like a video for the music that I was putting together. So hopefully I can have that ready pretty soon. I only have a small clip of it. I only have a small clip of it, and I think I can show it over here on the side. Let's see if this is the regular one. The enclose stream starting soon. So got a couple different ones to work on. I do need to pull up. There's the Fall Guy, which I already watched. I need to pull up some information about the other movies that we saw. And to do that, I'm going to need to grab the Windows capture. So let me see if I can grab Windows capture or screen capture. Where's screen capture at? Well, this will be stream capture. But let me see if I can find myself in it. Where's it at? Video capture, yes. We want to see me showing. There's that. Nice setup, thanks. Where was it at? We're going to go into the decades. Hey, here's my Letterboxd. I love pulling this up. Vitaphone is the one that shared this with me. He got me onto understanding this stuff. Let's check. No one's backstage yet. Guys, see the link. Vitaphone, Kerwin, anybody in the chat, all of you are welcome to jump in backstage if you'd like to jump in with me. Fall Guy movie was better than a television show. I don't. I like the TV show better, but the Fall Guy was a good date night movie if you were going to the theater to bring your date with you and enjoy that for what it was. And I think that was fun. I watched the Bad Boys. This is part 4, and Inside Out 2, Garfield, and the Shyamalan movie Watchers. So those are the ones I watched just recently. Hallmark is doing a Passport. Story Jumper is the name of it. It's at the top. You just find where it says Story Jumper. You spell it the right way and look for it until you find it. Look and see which one it says is Story Jumper. Just trying to find that website called Story Jumper that lets you make your own little books. And I got through a couple of these ones in here. If I got any more credits. So we were going to get into decades today. Check back in StreamYard. Anyone backstage yet? No one's here? Oh wait. This on says chat ended. I wonder. Vitaphone's trying to get in the back. Maybe I need to restart it. Let me try and start it again. What is it? It says StreamYard. StreamYard.com. So let's go ahead and see if we can run it up again. I had this one right here. Movie talk. The movie chat. I'll put this one back in there for you guys and we'll see if it works or not. And add to stage. Let's do quick advice. Okay, so I'll put this one in the link and let's see if it's working again. Where are we at? Bad link. It's saying bad link, guys. Okay, there's this link then. Maybe that was a bad link. What's going on, Blake? Vitaphone, Prince the new StreamYard. I'm gonna watch the Bad Boys tomorrow. Is the television show any good? It's fun as it is for an 80s show. This is some of the stuff that I just watched recently. Okay, then it's doing that long rolling screen roll where it's going on and on. All right, let me go ahead and check and see if anyone's in the back. StreamYard. Vita, there you are. Let's see, add to stage. I should be able to hear you. Vitaphone, what's going on? You can hear me okay through here, can't you? Can you hear me? Or am I muted in here? Mic check, mic check. Can you hear me? Good? Okay. I think because they can hear me through the OBS, but I'm not sure if anyone can hear me through anything else. So okay. Chat, can you hear them okay? Let's get ones in the chat if you can hear Vitaphone okay, if you can hear me okay. And if anyone else joins, let me know. I think that you can see over in the comment side where I might not be able to, so I'm just going to adjust this over here so everyone can see. Let me get back in here. Oh, wait, we got to keep you on screen. Display capture. Am I coming in? Am I on here too at the same time? Let's see, I'll move here. So they should be able to see us. I think I gotta disconnect the cam over here on this side real quick. Okay, I'll bring it up on this part here. Where's this at? Oh, start cam. There. Now they should be able to see us just fine. They can't hear you? Okay, that's easy enough to fix. All right. Mic check 1 2. Am I coming in good, chat? You go ahead and talk. You still can't find Story Jumper? Yeah, you're in Story Jumper right now. Click that, sign in with the Google. All right, try again. Hello, hello.
Howdy, howdy.
You guys hear him okay? Chat. Blake Kerwin. What's going on? Warren D in the CLE. Appreciate you coming through.
Yeah, it looks like
What's up, guys?
They can hear me now.
Good. Both loud and clear. Okay, we're up and running now. Wait, I'm going to the wrong one. Here we go. When you have all the windows open at once, it's like, oh, wait a second. Let me organize the screen. If you see anyone else jump in, just let me know so we know that someone else is here. There, I got everything in focus now, I think. So let me get her. She keeps asking. Go ahead. I guess, Vita, if you want to start us off, and I'll be listening to you and reply back. What decade did you want to take a look back over? Often we're going over the 90s, right? I don't know if you wanted to check out the 90s again, or if you wanted to go back over the 80s. We were debating in Marcus's stream on the merits of some of the 80s, right? Like Come and See Me, some of that stuff. I did have some of my notes up that Showa. Did you get to watch Showa, the documentary? I think it came out in 82 or 83.
Haven't seen that one.
Yeah, it's really along the lines of that. It's along the lines of the Schindler's List, basically, and it's really really impactful. I think it won best Oscar for documentary back in either 82 or 83. I forget which year it was. It could have even been 84. But as far as decades go, what was your decade that you had picked out? Was it the 80s? Was it the 90s? Where were you leaning with those ones?
I mean, I think I ultimately went. If I had to choose one, it would have been the 70s. But
the gritty, grimy era.
What I wanted to do in Marcus's stream was kind of just debate the merits of the 80s, because
okay, we could start there.
Ever since Tarantino, I mean, Tarantino's pretty famously, since early in his career, talked in interviews about how terrible the 80s are, and I think the 80s gets a really bad rep because because of stuff like Garbage Pail Kids and all that stuff. But I mean, it's kind of like an unending list of great films that came out of the 80s. For me, like it's almost a mic drop moment when you just talk about the films that Tarkovsky did in the 80s, that anyone can, say the 80s is just all trash and, nothing, the great cinema didn't come out of the 80s is kind of hyperbolic and silly, I think. Even as bad as the 2010s have been, there's, I could probably easily name 50 or 60, all-time great films that I think are, fantastic cinema that's come out even in the, 2010s to now. And a lot of people talk about, the last 10 years being just terrible.
So, you guys hear me okay? I hope they can hear me. Oh, yeah, let me see. I've got a little list I put together. I know I put some things in here for it.
White says he got destroyed when he tried to defend the 80s. But we know Marcus is an 80s hater. He just doesn't like 80s and the 1980s in general.
He said he was a kid of the 90s, right?
But I think think he also has to be a kid of the '80s too. I think he's around the same age as me. So
Let me see. Movies that by decade. Okay, so The Vanishing. For you guys that haven't seen The Vanishing is really good. And then nostalgia. I think Vita, we talk about this over and over again. A lot of us have seen these
yeah,
Andrei Tarkovsky movies, and they're the peak of like Russian cinema. If you get into Bergman, if you watch a lot of Ingmar Bergman stuff, it's along that kind of line. And a lot of it's really introspective, so I really enjoyed it. So nostalgia, definitely Decalogue. Let me put this in back. Might be able to hear me better. What the chat can hear me better.
Yeah, I mean, like the '80s has like it's got art film out the wazoo, and it's also got like the big kind of things that we grew up with that Hollywood just keeps mining to death. You got RoboCop, you got Ghostbusters, Beetlejuice, Aliens, Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Uh, but then you also have things like Raging Bull or Tetsuo the Iron Man and Nostalgia and The Sacrifice and all these kind of seminal, you know, high art films that
I
uh
didn't care for the Iron Man. It was what year did it came out? 88, right? Am I right? Right? Is it
I
88?
think that sounds about right.
I could be wrong. I want to double
I
check
didn't
this to make
discover
sure.
that
Unless
one
it was
until
89. Let me see.
I didn't even find it until I think like 93, 94 when I was in a Blockbuster. I'm like, what is this?
And then so one of the debates everyone was skipping over, and I'm not a huge horror fan. I don't know if you are. I think Gagna is. Gagna seems like he every time we list something off, he's like this, especially on his channel where he'll have like the Exorcist and things listed off. But I think that or he's doing a stream about that, right? He's doing a story on there. I have to catch up and see
Mhm.
what it was. The Iron Man. But 89. Okay, I was close.
Yeah, super
Kind
close.
of like the the Japanese version of an existence or a Eraserhead or something along those lines in a way.
Yeah, it's definitely super influenced by Eraserhead, but it's a very different film. But it's the super high contrast black and white and the extreme abstract, a lot of abstraction, in that one.
Right. For a lot. I'm not a huge fan of what's that Cronenberg style, right?
Yeah,
It's the
Cronenberg. It's definitely
body
body
horror
horror.
genre basically.
Yeah.
Um, and it's a bit like Kafka or it's a bit up there. Vita and Jay, if the 70s was a 10-10 decade, then what would you rate the 80s out of 10? That's a good question Kerwin's asking. Can you guys still hear me? They're saying, Jay, your audio is out. Mic check, 1 2 1 2.
I mean, for me, I gotta
Mic check.
give the '80s like a hard nine. Just because of just the extreme creativity. You also have like something that makes the '80s pretty big is VFX and practical effects both kind of come into their own in that era. So, like creativity is really unlocked for a lot of filmmakers at that point, where they can do things that kind of, I guess, kind of like the seed that Metropolis planted as far as what you could do with cinema, kind of comes to fruition in the '80s. Uh, Unfortunately, it goes really bad when we hit late '90s and 2000s when everything's on a blue screen. But just if you could think of it, you could do it in the '80s. That's really, it becomes very viable. So
They started, well, yeah, they hit um, the peak of like cinematography and special effects and the artistry that went into it. And then we've lost a lot of those guys since then. They've passed on. I think Ray Winston and others. But the Harryhausen, I think, was a huge pioneer of all of that. And we forget
oh, for
about the
sure.
sword and sandals genre and where those elements came to be when we had the Jason of the Argonauts and other films that came out during the 60s. That kind of whole process may have even began in the 50s when you had them,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is an excellent excellent movie with the giant ants, the special effects in that, and the story lines of those of that film almost brings us to the cinematic peak of where we to get Godzilla -1 or Gojira or some of these other things. So I think that the when they blend these they blend some of the film elements together really well, it comes out natural. And we've got that, I feel like, with Henson's production company, and we got that in Gremlins, I feel like, and we got that with Ghostbusters in '84. So there is a balance where you can bring these things together, and I think it really coalesced in the '80s a lot.
Yeah.
In the '90s, they went back to the auteur. They went back to like the '60s. That really, like the '60s and the '90s, to me, are like this period where they almost coalesce in a matter of metaphorical reasoning, and I think that that's where they were at with with what they were putting out there. And it's not just Tarantino. I don't think we can lay everything at Tarantino's feet, but there's other things that went about. Even the Oscars were way different, like Shakespeare in Love winning, and, and there's and Romeo and Juliet coming back on the screen, and Bassan and Jean, all the was it Jean? Well, you guys know in the chat what I'm talking about, but all those came out around the same time, and it was like that whole movement to try to push cinema in this kind of smaller budgeted but like big minded aspect.
Yeah. Well, you kind of have like a repeating echo of what happened in the late 60s and early 70s, where a lot of auteur directors get a chance, and Hollywood kind of looks to see if they can diversify their portfolio by,
You gotta click back, Skylar, and
students of
put an
film
older date in the.
make film. There's still a lot of that in the 80s, but the 80s kind of is dominated, the 80s is kind of, when the blockbuster really becomes a bankable thing and not just a fluke. Um, but yeah, in the 90s, you got just a ton of, directors that came out that really seemed like they were the child of the Kubricks and the Scorseses and these,
Right.
actors that had a vision that wanted, and studios were giving a chance to those guys to see, hey, can we augment what we're making with, some of these guys?
Yeah.
They're kind of like blue chip, directors, where they're just like, let's throw some bucks out there and see if those can turn into something.
Was it Fincher, one of those guys that they were really scared of at the time or something like that? Kerwin saying we still have guys like Joe Johnston in the business. We should lean on his talents. That's true. '80s also helped us set up a great decade of the '90s film. Again, also that's true too. Lucas was huge or instrumental basically for the way that the film industry, cinema is completely. What's up, 23 Months in the building? Appreciate it. Cinema is heavily influenced by the works of Spielberg and Lucas at that time, because your dark and grimy and gritty 1970s led into The Exorcist in, I think it was '71, which was really the first blockbuster, but it just wasn't titled blockbuster at that time. And audiences were going to there, and it was both word of mouth and both people in these long lines. There's some great footage of that here on YouTube too that you guys can explore too. And then you see with Jaws, another during that '70s era of a gritty film again. It's dark. It has a lot of subject matter right under the surface there. But then you get Star Wars with Lucas, and suddenly you have this upbeat, blockbuster-esque film that really unites the masses. Like it's a communal experience for everyone culturally. We all know the May the Force be with you, and that's Spielberg and Lucas, they brought about the '80s blockbuster, and then you had all the copycats come along, and then you had the way that cinema began to change. The special effects, the green screen, the reliance on sound. Jurassic Park, the sound in that is next level stuff, and that's Spielberg and Lucas again and again. And I think that you get to the superhero genre that we have here today, and that's also due in part to what was established in the '70s and the '80s. Of course, in the '90s, Spielberg and Lucas were on other projects. Excuse me.
Yeah, Lucas kind of like cuts out until was it 90, was it 1999 when Phantom Menace came out, or was that 90s? That's got to be. Wait, maybe that's not. Yeah, 98. 90, is that Phantom
Yeah,
Menace when he comes when
Phantom
they?
Menace is 99.
Yeah, so
And then
like he.
that reinvented, that re-emerged the CGI that we get for the next decade, and the superhero genre exploding. We can't get to. I don't think we can get to Avatar. We can't get to Lord of the Rings. We can't get to Peter Jackson's King Kong or any of that without Lucas's Lucasfilm being there in the midst of all that.
Yeah, I mean he's a big proponent of digital in general. He was one of the Phantom Menace was the last one he shot on exclusively on film, but like he gets in bed with Sony and develops arguably like the first real digital Sony camera that's like taken seriously, and entire films on green screen. But also the Matrix. You can't
Of the
undercut the
Wachowskis.
Matrix and John
So
Gata and what they did with special effects uh, at that time too. But yeah, the Star Wars series really is particularly the prequel trilogy is the archetype for how they make films now.
yeah. And did you see? I think that there's art. There was an art critic, I guess, online. I was watching that video where they said that in the past 30 years, one of the best things to ever happen in the art world was the climax of the Revenge of the Sith with the whole lava pit and the fighting and everything.
Yeah, I have feelings about all that, so I won't I won't get too into the weeds on that. But I think
I have the high ground.
I think that like Lucas's importance to cinema, for better or worse, is undeniable, especially in the prequel trilogy. But I don't really think much of those films. I think Revenge of the Sith is probably the best of them for sure.
White Noise saying the 80s also helped set up a great decade of 90s. 23 Months, welcome in. Chaos saying Dante. Joe Dante, yeah, expert Dante. I remember the horror flicks in the 70s. I watched them all. 23 Months said. Hank Rassico, welcome in. Star Wars was the beginning of the end of serious cinema. Chaos, aka saying that I was also Bubba Hotep. And showing some video. So yeah, I think that
I think it's also noteworthy to say that Scorsese's supposed recent softening on
Marvel.
his stance on Marvel is supposedly due to George Lucas, a conversation with him. But I'm like, it's kind of sus because Lucas is kind of the reason in a lot of ways that you can trace back this amusement park versus cinema type thing with the Phantom Menace. But
Here's some of the. You guys can see the little list up on the screen that I have: Nostalgia, Decalogue, Tanner 88, Amazing Grace and Chuck, Threads, Testament, Without a Trace, King of Comedy, Prime Suspect, Chariots of Fire, Ordinary People, Thief, Come and See, Showa, The Dresser, and Baby It's You. During the 80s, these are like some of the most filmish, type films that came out during that time. And then you get into the real popular stuff: Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, Field of Dreams, Back to the Future, E.T., Raiders of the Lost Ark, Trading Places, Coming to America, and Die Hard. And then you had tons of other stuff that fit into its own genre, like the horror genre, the teen comedy stuff. And so 80s brought to us a lot of different aspects. And if you look at that list, even the list of film type films, that really there's a huge divergence from what the 70s brought us, that decade of the 70s, and to what the 80s was. It's like night and day. There's nothing there. I can't even think of any of these ones that don't have an element of optimism in them, where this everything that came out in the 70s was very pessimistic and very we don't know if we're going to survive tomorrow or not. Even Logan's Run, really good 70s era dystopian film. uh, I feel like everything is grimy or gritty in the 70s. Welcome in, Orlando. Blend this down just a second. Check, did anyone else jump in here? Oh, okay. Click yes on this stuff. Just read it off and then click yes. Did you put 84?
Put yes on everything?
I don't know. Read it correctly and then click on it.
It says, I agree. Do we jump with
Vita, you still there?
Yeah,
Were you researching something?
yeah. I was just I had like a whole list during that stream of like financial breakdowns, and then also the kind of because I took like films by decades and went like, what's the if you look at the critical acclaim rate for films by decades, like what are the best decades? And
Oh yeah, the 80, I thought in your '80s breakdown that the '80s made a ton more than the '90s did, didn't it?
no, I do have that list here. Give me a
The
second. I'll
'90s,
pull that.
well, the '80s
So
looked like it was really a banner year for Hollywood. They were really the stuff that they were putting out was making a lot of money. Just click sign up and sign in, big girl. Figure out how to put it together.
the 80s, yeah, they did actually make a little bit more, not adjusted for inflation. These as a total, the box office was 35.2 billion,
Hmm.
and the 90s was 33.8. But then if you like adjust for cost, like what they spent on the production, there's a lot of ways you can slice the numbers, but they did edge it out. But then from the 2000s and on, it's just like kind of a skyrocket of a upward trend, which was kind of my thing of
Take
when
on
we
it.
were talking about whether quality can save cinema or not. And I just when you look at the most successful films in the box office, quality is never really the determining factor, nor is originality for what makes big money. But the '80s, yeah, it looks like the '80s did edge out the '90s by about 2 billion.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that's what I saw when you had posted that. I've got some '80s films just up on the screen right now. Burbs, Abyss, Alienation, Aliens, Annie. Um, just a lot of these were really popular films. So I would imagine that the audiences, would want to flock to see some of this stuff. Because if you imagine for right now, if we were to say, like when we were talking about saving cinema, what would help save cinema? And
Mhm.
one of your points being that if the big studios would work with the streaming providers hand in hand to where they had the release and they were able to say, okay, we're paying for this part of it, right? That's what your take was. We're going to be paying for it, paying it in advance, and then we get to have it distributed as well at the same time, right? Something along those lines of it. You can expand upon that if you want to.
Yeah, so I think like this Sony is the beginning of the wars over purchasing exhibition because exit theaters are just they're losing money hand over fist, and it's not very profitable for them. It's for a number of reasons. If you have a chain, you've got too many theaters in any town that you own. The chain, or you're competing with other people that either own this. Because AMC is franchise. So like if you're competing against other people in the franchise, and then you're also competing with other exhibitors in town. So it just doesn't work anymore because not enough people go. So my whole reasoning on that was that if these companies that produce content uh, purchase these chains and basically gut them, like if you buy, let's say you buy Regal in my town, where I think there's like 7 or 8 Regal Metroplexes. You just kill them all except for 1 or 2.
Hmm.
And so you not only cut the cost of running the theater, but then you're not having to worry about like in America, the most profitable time frame for the theaters when they put a film out is the first 2 to 3 weeks. Now those contracts can slightly vary from film to film, but at best case, they're getting the studio system is at best getting 60% of
Dang,
what
that's a
makes in the first 3 weeks. So if you own the theater, you're taking 100% of that proceed. You're not no longer having to share that. And then they're not the theaters are not really they haven't really modernized the experience in any realistic way unless you go to like one of these kind of
like in my area, there's Cinetopia, but Alamo Draft House is pretty much the same type of thing where they've given some thought to making the experience more modern. Like, some of the theaters have like a button you can press when someone's talking and security will come. But,
Is that
but
right?
yeah, yeah.
I know in the big chain ones they have the what's it called, CDMX or whatever, and haven't gone into those one just yet. But I guess it like moves back and forth, like the seats are jumping and something. I'd like to experience that. I went by, we have one of those big theaters like that here in the city area. I haven't got to go check it out just yet. Thank you, Mabel, for coming in. Mega love shout out. I was looking at I was I was just looking at 80s movies and I saw Thief and I remember having a very pessimistic outcome. Thief, okay, Michael Mann. Yeah, I guess it could be considered almost 70-ish. Thief, that's a really good prime example of an 80s film that's almost 70-ish in a way. Would be Thief. What'd you think? Did you get to see What's up, Kate? How you doing? Did you get to see Thief by Michael Mann?
Michael Mann is actually one of those directors that's a scotoma or a blind spot in my like films that I've watched. I've seen Heat and I've seen
Collateral.
Hunter. I've seen Collateral, but I think that's about it. So I still have like I talked about on Marcus's stream before. I have directors, actors, and writers that if I really like their work, I kind of just slowly drip feed because I know there's only so much of their work.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, I can't really comment on a lot of his work.
Yeah, it's let me see. We've got over here. I can pull up the decades again so everybody can see. And it was a really good movie. I just went to the theater and I watched The Watchers. I don't think I have any spoiler. I'm not going to have any spoil. Did I put a review on here or not? Let me double check. Sometimes I put reviews on here. Um, Marcus here, Vitaphone guys. He put me on to Letterboxd. I didn't know what it was. I'm glad I got onto it so that way I can keep it helps me better keep track of stuff so that when I'm able to knock some things out I can put a little review. I'll put a little 3 stars down for The Watchers. That means it's good. Anything lower than 3 stars usually means it was just okay, just barely passable, I guess. So that's usually where I go with my ratings. And then
Mhm.
and I went on there. I had like Reggie Bull was sitting at a 1 star or something like that, and I was like, oh, I didn't click that, did I?
Yeah, yeah. I saw part of your live stream where you're
I
talking
was
about that. You're like, how did this happen?
Yeah, because I think whenever I move my mouse up and down, sometimes it like if you're not careful, it'll put those stars up and down too. So I
Yeah,
was like,
yeah.
oh shoot, what the heck? So you can go by if you guys don't have Letterboxd, get Letterboxd. I gotta put let me put the link on there too, so you guys can see where's my Letterboxd at. But did you
And
get to see the
here's
Shyamalan?
my pitch.
You
My
said,
quick pitch on Letterboxd is um, I know a lot of people that have had this thing too, where you love films, but you fall into a slump of where you just realize, oh man, I haven't watched a movie in like 3 weeks. That's crazy. So I downloaded Letterboxd literally as like to gamify the experience of going like, yeah, I want to check out, I want to add another movie. Like it's this weird little kind of like psychological thing where it's like, yeah, I want to keep adding, I have to watch a movie to add something. So it's like kind of a way to keep me making time to watch cinema because I have a honestly it's been a while where I've kind of hit a point where like it's too easy for me to just watch the same 50, 60 movies over and over because I get discouraged by because to me the quality of cinema matters. And it's easy for me to just be like, I'd rather just watch a show, um, because I think
it's easy,
that
sir.
golden era of TV where it's been so good that it's like it's if a movie or if a TV show is really good, like it's one of these top tier ones, it's kind of in some ways easier to fall deeper into a good TV show than it is to be like, oh, I'm gonna carve out an hour and a half for a movie that I'm probably not gonna like, or nobody else is gonna be in the conversation about it because nobody watches movies. So
Right.
for me, that's why I love Letterbox is it
That's
gives
good.
me a slight motivation to keep adding, keep watching movies.
Yeah, and shout out to the chat and to the everyone that's over there that comes through Marcus Fleming's group because then that's good to see all this perspective because one of the things I like about Marcus's channel is we're not all just in America. We're all branched out all over the place, and each of us have different likes. Like you're showcasing something from Carpenter right now on your shirt. John Carpenter's the thing, which I actually have. I think I got the with. Let me show the case this real quick. I collect Terminator 2 stuff. And so
Nice.
this is this is just one of the versions.
HD.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
I have different ones. I have different versions of T2.
I remember I had I bought the HD DVD drive for the Xbox 360. So I remember I had probably about 20 of them, but I also had a PS3, so I eventually just switched over to Blu-ray.
Yeah, so I got both. I keep both. I have I know I have a HD DVD recorder somewhere too.
Oh yeah.
Amongst all my electronics, because I'm also a collector of like electronics and things like that. So when HD DVD came out and they had an HD DVD recorder, I bought one and I recorded like a few things, just like family photos or something like that with it. But I was thinking about making like a copy of like Revenge of the Sith or something to put on my HD DVD to see what that would look like prior to when it came out, of course, on the Blu-ray. And so I've enjoyed this is a collector's item because not that many people have a copy of Twister on HD DVD.
Mhm.
So I'm happy to have that. I've got almost a complete set of HD DVD stuff.
Yeah,
Nearly.
not many people have HD DVDs at all. So
What'd you
you're
do with yours?
elite class there.
What did you do with yours? Did you sell it, give it away?
I've had I, I've had some crazy stuff happen in my life, but I had most of my collection stolen. I think I still have like my copy of Fear and Loathing, and I still have my copy of let's see, what do I still have my copy of, I think I actually have the book right here. So I have my let's see.
While you're looking for that, White Noise says Twisters this summer. Glenn Powell is in it. Let's go. Oh, there it is. The case cover art for the thing
Yeah.
from HD DVD, and I have the thing. It's sitting up here. I just can't reach to it. I don't know where it's sitting. It's somewhere. It's in the shelf. I was gonna pull it, but I think it's too far up there. And
Yeah.
what do you think? What do you make of Twister? Are you gonna go check that out at the cinema?
Oh, speaking of which, here's one of the inserts of
Movies that may or may not have come out on HD DVD.
yeah.
That particular list that you just showed all of those films came out on HD DVD.
Yeah.
But there are a few. When you take a look at it, there are ones that never made it. And I have the Jack Ryan collection, so I'm happy about that too. They also had The Sopranos come out on HD DVD, which was cool. The look and sound of perfect. That was a fun time. The Blu-ray HD DVD war. I love that competition that they had going.
Yeah, similar to the Betamax and VHS war, and Laserdisc technically.
Yeah, all fun stuff. I have capacitant electronic discs, the CEDs. I have those. I have Laserdisc. I have Betamax. I have VHS. I have video CD. I really have this really great collection of video CD. I have the entire Marvel collection and the Star Wars what is it? Disney sequel collection on VCD or video CD.
Yeah, that's crazy how many these formats are. Like I have somewhere, I think I have T2 and Eraserhead on Laserdisc.
We were talking on the other time about the format, the physical media stuff, and how that's going to be. There's obviously we've seen vinyl have a resurgence. Do you think we're going to be seeing a DVD resurgence or something similar? But because the higher the format, I would imagine that people would want to return to the higher format, though, like maybe a 4K resurgence or something.
I mean, I kind of think we're already there. Like I said, with like Scream Factory or Shout Factory.
Yeah.
Like they're kind of, and then there's a couple of those other companies that really, like Twilight and a few other companies that specialize in, getting stuff that, and it's crazy how many things never even just barely made it to, Blu-ray. Like
Just
there's
barely,
some movies that just barely made it on the Blu-ray that I
because
don't.
there's stuff that never came out on DVD.
Yeah, yeah.
Boodle Bad Boy said VHS is all the rage.
It has been for a while too, at least in kind of niche towns like
Collector.
Portland's a big kind
Oh
of
yeah.
dirty town about things, and VHS is actually there's a pretty strong subculture around VHS around here. So
Do you guys have like a video store that you go to there?
yeah, we have a store that's called Movie Madness that's been around for a really long time, and in fact, they got bailed out by a theater that is partially like tax funded here just to keep this. It's called the Hollywood Theater, and they partnered to save Movie Madness. But Movie Madness is fantastic. It's always a fun time when I'm dating someone, and if they're into going to the video store, that's always like that's always to me like the what is it, a green flag when somebody wants to go to the video store and pick something out. So.
Kerwin said, I saw a guy on Twitter who takes new movies and transfers them onto VHS with his own cover art. I've seen something similar to that before on the internet, and I was like fascinated by how cool it looked. It looked like pretty neat. I think the first time I saw it was when they were doing the Stranger Things DVD VHS crossover stuff, and someone had actually put Stranger Things onto VHS too. I think that would be kind of a neat little niche item to hold on to, neat collector's item. That would
Yeah,
be
I
fun.
remember the Stranger Things DVD collections that look like a VHS box. Did you get any of those?
Yes, I got it. I got one. I think I got two of them. One of them had like a T-shirt in it, and the other one I still have the shirt, and the other one has the DVDs or CD video, the DVDs and things and Blu-rays, and I have it somewhere, just not up there on the shelf. I don't know where it's at right now. But it was pretty cool. I'm glad. Oh, you know what? When it first came out, a lot of people weren't buying it because like we did the physical media thing. So like it had like a reduced sticker on it. It was like only $10 when I picked it up. And I got it from Target. Target. And then let me pull open the letterbox real quick. Um what's the what's Kinds of Kindness coming soon? What's it gonna be?
That's the guy who did the Lobster and the Yorgos Lanthimos. That's his new movie. And the crazy thing is I guess him and Emma already have a third film that they're in post production on that they're editing. So that they're basically a movie a year. Um, I'm super interested. I saw one 20-second like clip that I was like, that's all I need. I try to stay as blind as I can, like especially if it's something that I'm already sold on. I'm like, I try to stay away from as many spoilers, but it looks very
Yeah.
offbeat.
When I yeah, my approach to movies has been not to try not to watch anything on whatever the movie is, especially like for the smaller stuff. Just go in sight unseen, have no idea what I'm getting into, and then just see if it's any good in the theater.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a magic that's gone in a lot of cases because they show too much in the trailers anymore. Like I remember, 70s and 80s. A lot of times they would make a mini film essentially. A lot of times for as the trailer. They'd film something that was like a slow zoom in on a pumpkin for
Yep.
Halloween type of thing. And it's like I miss those days.
So soon in on a pumpkin.
um, you know, and it's largely because now for the last 15 years, the trailers are mostly cut by not the movie studio. They send specific trailer editing studios footage, and they
Mm,
just
chop it up, any old thing.
yeah, because they kind of know the algorithm of what sells. So it's like a lot of times it's pretty rare when the director has any input on what's in the trailer. So that's
Mm,
why you have a ton of spoilers in trailers for the last 15, 20 years now because
It's just farmed out to someone else that
Yeah,
does
when
it.
I was at the theater just recently, was watching The Watchers, the Shyamalan movie, and then they had the trailer for the next Shyamalan movie, which is in June. And then that one, when it came on, what was it called? Trap, right? No, in July, the July one. So Trap came on trailer, and they were like showing way too much of the story, and I was like, okay, because I want to watch something where I don't know what it's going to be about, and
Right.
that's where I like to watch those Shyamalan movies. So when I watched The Watchers, I just knew it was another, Shyamalan created thing, and I know that it was the daughter going into it with the father to make it, and he was the producer and executive producer, and so they kind of hashed it out together. So it's very much a Shyamalan movie, though. Did you watch it yet or not yet?
I haven't seen it yet. I have Movie Pass, so I'll probably go see it this week. It looks like some folks in the chat are
Let's see.
got some things to say. Uh, White Noise is pumped about Kinds of Kindness. It looks like Kerwin doesn't watch trailers either, and Bad Boy Boodle's saying that was the fun of going to the video store in the 80s and 90s. No reviews, no nothing. You just judged a movie by the box.
That was where the store employee too came into it, right? It's like I worked at what when I was it in the late or no, not late 2000s, was it? I worked at Hollywood Video for a little bit, and that was fun working over there. But then it was right before it went out of business. I went to go work at the Hollywood Video, and then it went out of business afterwards. And the fun thing also being over there was like when you spoke with people, like the majority of people wanted whatever the popular film was, and you could guide them over there to what are you looking for? I just like action, and then like if they tell you like along the lines of what you could lead them in that way so that you can help
Yeah,
them
yeah.
out. And then when you get real the artsy and the pretentious type lovers of film, then you could be like, have you seen a look back at Brockage, like I said when I came by your thing, and they had all that colors everywhere. I said,
Yeah.
are you aware of Tokyo Story? Are you aware of maybe some of the more obscure stuff that we had? We had um, a movie called the A Look Through Dirt, and I think it was like a Spanish film, and it was okay, but it was along the lines of some stuff that a lot of people would like to have watched. So I would just say, if you haven't seen this already, I might suggest this one. That was one of the fun things too.
Yeah. I miss those days for so many reasons. I mean, like, I, so like, I think critics are valuable. And, like back in the day, you kind of like found the critic that there was only so many critics, right? There was, you had Gene Shalit and Roger and Ebert, and you had like a couple other big names in the space. Or like if you lived in a city like Portland has like a couple of those free different newspaper publications. We have something called the Willamette Week, and we used to have something called the Mercury. And you kind of like knew which critic you really resonated with, or you knew certain things that like, oh, I kind of agree with this critic most of the time, except for when they talk about this genre. So like, you had like only so many. It was
Voices.
yeah, cacophony of voices, and you also didn't have, at least for me, you didn't have one critic that you always agreed to. So you got into an echo chamber with everything they said, and then they kind of like might stop you from seeing something that you'd see later and be like, oh man, they were totally like, it
It was
was
totally
just,
wrong about that one.
you knew like good critics, they also were good at their job, and they studied the film, and like they had, a generally speaking, a pretty good grasp on film. So like, if they were really into, like Ebert, both Siskel and Ebert, they, particularly Ebert, was a huge Scorsese, fan, and a big fan of that. So it's like, you kind of knew, maybe he veers a little bit more into the, this arty stuff, and, but I don't instantly disregard everything he says about it. It's like now you can kind of just find who you agree with. And I feel like, especially as things have gotten pretty, uh, one team versus another team on every topic nowadays. A lot of I think a lot of good stuff gets dissed on. Like I'm not a huge fan of a lot of kind of modern talking points, but I won't automatically disregard somebody whether they're for or against it. But I feel like a lot of people, they get siloed nowadays, which is unfortunate because I don't think like I think you I watch movie like I don't think you should agree with the always agree with the protagonist's viewpoint. Sometimes you should vehemently disagree with what the central protagonist character thinks or does, and it's like nowadays people will just like rail on about something because it's because there's a terrible person in the movie, so like their character is terrible, so that means you should automatically dislike the film. That kind of like critique, I think, is like kind of really it's not been good for films.
Well, I guess it's back and forth where it can be warranted in some ways and not in others. I guess because so on YouTube, so we get to have like welcome in. Have you seen that with T? He's got a really good movie channel too, and you can kind of find like these different groups that have like movie channels going, and then you can get to say, and I think that you get to see like so. I like it when we're over there and with Marcus too. It's like he has his particular biases and he likes this and that and the third, and then we can all come in there and we can kind of like go at it. And like when we have NL in there, he's super contrarian. Like I never know what he's gonna type one from one second to the next. And so it's
MVP of contrarians.
welcome in Marcus. And so it's been really cool that we get to have not like the echo chamber environment necessarily, but like we all agree when we have perspectives on what we think is like this is good cinema, this is a good movie or something like that. So that's been a fun aspect of we're in our niche of
Oh, hey, Marcus is in the chat.
oh yeah, I saw that. Marcus Fleming's welcome in.
Yeah,
And we appreciate it. He said, "You people, hearts." I gotta
you
give
know,
him his. I gotta give T and Marcus because they just came in their wrenches, and I give everybody a wrench. Let me go grab that up real quick for them, and then we can continue the discussion. We appreciate you guys for coming through.
well, I think Marcus's group is not just because he's in here, but I think it's special because I think that people some people have some pretty hot takes, but I don't really feel like it gets ugly in that community, and that might change as it gets bigger and bigger. But it's really special to see so many people have hot takes, and people aren't instantly discarding them. Like I feel like a lot of the online spaces for film, it's become a very, like most everything. Your team, my team, and we don't listen to the team that doesn't agree with us, or we automatically because I can disagree with someone, but if they have a great point later on, I don't care if I disagreed with them before. I'm going to go, yeah, but you're right there, like, and that's something that's not been so part of, I think, uh, modern spaces where
Just
people talk anyways.
yeah, the discourse for what movies you like, what movies you don't like. So T and Marcus and Battle Boo Boy, I just gave you guys your wrenches. Please use them. Uh, take the power into your hands and don't just go around banning everyone. No, you guys won't do that, but let the power go to your heads. Because on most, like some channels you go to, and it's not for they'll say you can't have the wrench. No one gets a wrench over here. But I told Marcus before, and I was like, give Vita a wrench or myself a wrench, so it just in case has his channel continues to grow, just in case like a lot of outsiders come in there that are there to be disruptive or trollish or start attacking people. So I said,
That,
well, yeah, that would be good if we were able to counter some of that.
yeah, Marcus's streams have been pretty good. There's been a couple guys in there that I was like, oh man, I should have. If I was paying attention, I would have got rid of that guy. But Marcus is such a pro about handling it.
What's good, Montoya? Thank you for coming in. Hey, Tiago, mega love shout out. Thank you. Sorry about the video. All right, so that's what we'll go ahead and wrap it up there. I appreciate everyone for coming through, and we got you. I think everyone had their Tiago. I'm going to go ahead and give. You got no super chats? No super chats just yet, Marcus. We're not all big giant channels like my brother. then they got 18. My wonderful 1,800 subscribers that I'm at right now. Took me, I guess, the 2 years time period or something like that to get to. And then there's some channels like just may never get over a hump. So Marcus hit lightning in the bottle with his channel being so popular. He's able to take off really good. I appreciate you. And
and that content.
Yeah, fantastic content, fantastic live chats. We always get together, have a good time. I have a good time on have you seen that with T's channel? It's an excellent channel. I suggest you guys, if you guys want to drop your links. You can all jump in each other's channels. Hit that like, subscribe if you're new. I appreciate all you guys for being here. And I think I'm going to go head out because I think they're getting restless. They want me to help them so we can get some food going and different things going tonight. So appreciate you, Vito Phone, for coming on. This is also another Marcus. Everyone that's a Marcus is involved in the film industry, obviously.
Yeah.
Say,
hey, you should put your link to your profile and Letterboxd start putting that in your
YouTube part. Yeah, I'm gonna put that in there so everyone can follow through on that. So thank you guys so much. Be safe. God bless. Stay safe. Keep your head on a swivel out there in these streets. It gets real. And I'll talk to you guys later. Have a great night. All right, later.